Inside the Bullpen special edition here for our summer campaign. We're taking a look around the DFW area and getting some voices to come join us and get a little different personalities here on the Inside the Bullpen podcast. Nick Merrick, Chad Seward, and the personality of the week, Joey Zanaboni, the voice of the Texas AirHogs, the phenomenal baseball team just south of us here in North Richland Hills. And as the lock it, cock it, restock it.
Close.
Oh, I got to restart
Close.
that now. I really
no. It is tough to remember. I have many people who, they love the call, but they just can't remember exactly what it is.
I got the LCRR.
LCRR.
Yeah.
Lock it, cock it, rock it, restock it.
There it is. There's the. We can call it your catchphrase, obviously, right?
Well, it's a catchphrase. It's a lifestyle.
It is lifestyle. I like. We got to dive into that a little more as we go on in this. But obviously, thanks for joining us here in Brahmas land.
Sure.
We're glad to have you. It's a rare off day for you, huh?
Yeah, the AirHogs, it's 100 games in about 110 days during the season. So we're about 15% of the way through. We've only just begun, but it is kind of rare. I couldn't even tell you when we've got the next one, so I'm glad to be here.
No, it's great. One thing we heard from a couple people too, just kind of joking around the office, knowing that you were coming in today. Your last name plays off so with hockey. Everything about Zanaboni, Zamboni.
Well, that's why I don't do hockey, because the puns in my last name would be just atrocious, and I had to. But it's actually.
But you have a great podcast episode.
True story. Man. Well, here's a true story. Back in the day, in the home country in northern Italy, Zanaboni and the Zamboni family were all the same family. It was all one group, but eventually the Zambonis wanted to use the machines to clean ice, and we wanted to stay true and continue to clean it by hand with rags and brooms and so forth. So there was a schism, and we ended up is it schism or schism? I can't ever remember schism or schism, but we ended up staying true, and that's how we got the last name.
Unreal. And the history lives on, literally.
Sure.
But obviously, just kind of, let's take us down a little bit to the AirHogs land and chat a little baseball for this one. It's obviously different. It's our off season. I'm sure a bunch of the hockey boys are enjoying some summer baseball with all their training. So we kind of figured, hey, it's fitting. Let's pull in a baseball guy for a little summer edition here. So. Just the AirHogs overall. I know you've been there for a couple years. West Florida is what I saw as well before coming back to Texas. But this is going to be a couple seasons with the AirHogs now rolling for you, huh?
Yeah, I started in 2016, so this is my third year. And we've had a few different iterations, really, of the AirHogs. This is definitely the most unique this year. We have 25 to 30 members of Team China, the Chinese national baseball team, on the squad this year. And it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with them and John McLaren, who's our skipper, formerly of the Mariners. So, yeah, I think this is going to be our most memorable season during my time.
What do you think makes it different right off the bat? I mean, just a couple weeks in, is this something that it's the personalities because of the difference of the roster that make it so different? Or do you think
I'll tell you, when they told me a little bit after Christmas that we would have 25 to 30 members of the Chinese national baseball team with the AirHogs this summer, my first question was, how do you translate lock it, cock it, rock it, restock it to Mandarin? So it is definitely a little bit different. We've got more of a global reach. We're sponsored by a company from China, Beijing Shogun Eagles, and it's definitely just unique. It's pretty much every aspect. We've got just many guys who have never really traveled that much outside of China, who are getting to see America for the first time. And then we've got sort of the more usual set of independent baseball players, guys who played D1 college ball, affiliated ball, and just watching it all come together. It's really a pleasure. It's very unique. I don't think there's any other team in the league or probably anywhere in professional sports that's has a locker room quite like ours.
I think that's pretty safe to say. Just from your lock it, cock it, rock it, restock it. There we go. I had to get it right the second time.
Sure.
You said you had a different change in the front office, and there's some interns that speak Mandarin, so you haven't had a chance to get that phrase down yet?
Well, we have two interns, Xingping Liu and Chow, who are great. I would be nowhere without them. They've helped me to improve my Mandarin. I still only have a couple phrases, shi, which means thank you. That gets you very far, though. I do shish quite a bit, but it is one of the most interesting, gosh darn things. The pronunciation, learning the pronunciation of the names. I'm still working on those in many ways, but I think it's one of those deals where it's not just the syllables. I guess it's the way that you inflect your voice gives things different meaning. And so it's been a really interesting exercise for myself. It's been something that you have to be very in control of your voice at all times. So it's helped me grow quite a bit.
What's a good voice? I guess, it's a good voice practice, I guess, too.
Right,
So
right.
That makes sense. Obviously, different cultures coming together. Chad, I know we have plenty of foreign skaters here in Brahmaland, too, but I don't know if you can imagine ever having some Chinese skaters for us.
I think we are far away from the days of a Chinese skater joining our team, but you never know. We had a Japanese skater with us with our NA3HL. Yeah, Fuma Kasai.
There you go.
I think it's possible. There's a Chinese-born player in the NHL, so it's possible. But, yeah, we mainly get Russians, Swedes, every now and then a Finnish player, Canadians.
Well, I didn't know really very much about Chinese baseball, but I did know John McLaren, and actually Terry Collins, the former manager of the Mets, had worked with the Chinese national baseball program. And I had some friends over the years in coaching who have ended up going to MLB academies in China and working with youth. So I knew it was a growing sport. I think it kind of took everybody by surprise, partnering with Beijing Shogun Eagles in 2018 to do it. But, I think everybody with the team kind of thinks of this as being the first step on a long journey. I mean, maybe the first steps have already been taken, but one of the first steps that down the line, 10 years down the line, is really going to pay dividends.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the step one of what could be a
historic journey.
A historic journey. You were at the forefront of this historic journey.
Well, I like to be at the forefront more than any other position.
So, talk to us about your travel schedule, because for us and for Nick, we're pretty fortunate. The farthest we go is Corpus Christi, which is 7 hours down the road. We got Topeka, Kansas, Shreveport.
I've been to Topeka. A lot of heart in Topeka.
Evel Knievel Museum is in Topeka. Other than that,
there's another great museum in Kansas. I worked in Kansas. My first team was a summer college ball team, and we ended up on a road trip to Liberal, Kansas. And I took a walk to stretch my legs after the bus ride, and all of a sudden I see it's the Wizard of Oz Museum right there down the road. I thought, well, this might be worth the $7. I don't feel like I have to sneak in here. I'll pay full price. And it was it something. You got to go inside Dorothy's house, and they had a girl who was dressed up like Dorothy, who was kind of coming in and out of character while she gave you the tour. And we were sort of looking at it, and she says, "Oh, this is what were the aunt and uncle's name in Wizard of Oz?"
Oof, you lost me there. I need Al Rooney. I need Al Rooney with us there.
Whatever they were, Judy Garland's aunt and uncle. She said, "Oh, this is where we wash our clothes by hand." And I said, "Oh yeah, how long does that take? Like 3 hours?" And she goes, I don't really know. I just started working here about 2 weeks ago, so I haven't gotten that question yet." I was like, "All right, on to the land of Oz," which was it's like a warehouse full of like semi-melted wax figures and just like Wizard of Oz paraphernalia. The Wizard of Oz, notebook from 1941. Hey kids, you're gonna need this, that kind of thing. So it was. I've seen some museums in Kansas, but in terms of travel, with the AirHogs, it's very extensive. Us and Cleburne are the two southernmost teams in the association. Mostly runs up and down the Midwest. So we go to Wichita, Lincoln, Sioux City, Iowa, where we're going this weekend, Sioux Falls, which is right there by Sioux City, Fargo, North Dakota, St. Paul, Minnesota, and then finally the upper reaches of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, which is the great hockey town. We stayed in a hotel right there by the Jets arena, and
really
had a chance, to go through and kind of check that out a time or two. I would never go up there in the winter. We were up there, and this will show you this will show you that how much I know about Canada. I said to their statistician, I said, you got to be honest with me. How cold does it get up here in the winter? He says, it gets up or down to about negative 30. And I said, is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? And he looks at me and he goes, well, at negative 32, they're the same thing. And I said, oh, okay, gotcha. You get frostbite and you step outside for like a minute. And I was like, oh, man, I would never come up here in the winter. But in the summer, it is the most beautiful. It's 75 degrees, and it is just, sunny. It's perfect every single day up there, it seems like.
Well, that's a different lifestyle of its own. Needless to say, way far away from Texas. Couple of names even too. I know Chad and I were like, there's a couple of good junior hockey spots for some of those cities as well. Mm-hmm. So they go pretty hand in hand with those markets. But just going back to baseball days with AirHogs and your new lifestyle that you found a couple years back. Where'd that all begin?
The Lock It, Cock It, Rock It, Restock It lifestyle?
Absolutely.
Lock It, Cock It, Rock It, Restock It. Well, I guess that started in the summer of 14. I was doing summer college ball in Wichita, and I was looking for a home run phrase. And, one night it came to me in a dream, but it took a little more than the dream. At first it was, I think, something like lock it, sock it, restock it. And I was like, that's not quite what I'm looking for here. So, I kind of worked on it over the years a little bit, but the Lock It, Cock It, Rock It, Restock It lifestyle is about it's just about having fun. It's about staying engaged. It's about doing your best work all the time, and then it's about entertainment too. It's just about feeling more than anything else. I think that's the biggest thing that I try to do on the broadcast, to make people feel something more than just provide them information, more than just provide descriptions and things like that.
Well, fans are confused on this as we're like halfway through our podcast now. Obviously, Joey Zanaboni, the voice of the Texas AirHogs baseball team, will provide a link to some of your work, too, on social as well.
Play some of the highlights.
Let's kick the tires. Let's light the fires. Joey Zanaboni here for you, well-dressed and well-caffeinated as always. Check me for an absorbent torso and a crush on sandy cheeks, because I'm happier than SpongeBob SquarePants. Oh, how about that pick from Lopez? Gorgeous. Either some paint chips just got in my salad and I'm seeing double, or the Argos turn 2. Outside corner, Maddox shaved it like a test mannequin at a barber college. Kuchera coming in hotter than a corn chowder picnic in a crawl space. This guy's been hotter than an afternoon coffee break at a roadside fireworks outlet lately. Hotter than a Ruby Tuesdays with a faulty air conditioning system. Hotter than a torch lighter they lost in the deep fryer at Burger King. Hotter than a suede jacket and rubber pants on the 4th of July right now. Kirkman hotter than a gas can in a hotel sauna right now. Delivery. Inside corner, punch him out of there, baby. Maddox. Coming in hotter than a fever-ravaged armadillo nesting in a Maytag dryer. Dancing like Tom Hanks on a Toy Store piano. Dancing like Mila Kunis in Black Swan. Bending like a discount protractor caught under a phone book. Swooping in like a peregrine falcon hunting a river fish. Surprised him like a possum popping out of the medicine cabinet. Sends a ground ball left side. Joey Ben lays out. Gets to his feet. Got the out. Defense smoother than the before picture in a Rogaine ad. Harmon, ground ball through the 3-4 spot out into greener pastures. Silverstein with the wave from KB. He's going to score. Argos lead at 3-2. AirHogs have Reynolds at the plate, and Reynolds won't be there for long, baby. He hammers the first he sees over the left field wall, and Reynolds in trot mode. That didn't take long. 14th home run of the season gets out of here in a hurry. Lock it, cock it, rock it, restock it.
And we're back. Here we are. We're back at the good old studios. What studio are we at today, Chad, in NITEX?
25?
Studio 25.
Studio 25 in NITEX.
A lot of heart out there in Studio 25.
We're rocking it. We are rocking it. No, it's great. Obviously, it's phenomenal. We're glad you could have you out here, too, and good old check out a hockey barn, a little different.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
For starters, we got a roof. No. I was taking a peek back when you were going through the community college days and starting your career. I was trying to think of one Kansas community college. I did one season in the Coastal Plains League.
Okay, yeah.
Over in Fayetteville, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember what the. That's why I was on my phone a minute ago. I was trying to find what the name of the. For some reason, I thought it was Shawnee Community College, but I think that's in Illinois, so I don't think I was correct. But anyways, we had a couple players from there.
Shawnee, yeah, Shawnee is. There's a Shawnee right around Kansas City.
Is there?
Where I went to college. Yeah. Shawnee,
okay, so I guess it was Shawnee.
Shawnee.
Are you familiar with it at all?
Or
like
Shawnee,
their baseball? Yeah.
I know Shawnee. I haven't seen a lot of baseball games over there, but yeah, I actually went to college in Kansas City, and yeah, that's like one of my, I guess, sort of second hometowns. I'm from St. Louis originally, but
well, there we go.
That's Shawnee is just right there. 15 minutes from Kansas City, Missouri, 20 minutes away. So.
Yeah. I was reaching a little bit, but there's a connection there, right?
Small world. It always, trust me, I've seen it get smaller and smaller every single day.
What would you say, too, from just overall, just seeing all the different, cultures through the baseball stadiums and through the booths you've been in and the travel that Chad kind of alluded to and taking you from literally Canada to Mississippi to Florida to Texas. What's been the biggest change for you, or maybe the most memorable experience you've had from you in the past couple seasons?
Well, I guess one of my other, besides Laka Kaga Raga Ristaka, one of my other life phrases is keep the work very descript, keep your personality away from the microphone very nondescript, keep your clothing very nondescript as well, as you can see with the tan pants and the navy blue
I'm not going to
shirt
today.
Here. That's how I do it. But I don't know. I think people everywhere ultimately are the same in sports, and you have people looking for that, magic moment and more than just wins,
sure,
but things that really make you feel something that this is bigger than what we do on the field. And so whether it's working for the Chinese national team or it's working at a historically black junior college in Mississippi, a historically black community college that you were talking about there a moment ago, Kahoma Community College, or working at the University of West Florida, or here with the AirHogs or with other independent baseball teams, I think at the end of the day, we're all in sports for the same reason, and it's not just about getting trophies or getting rings, but it's about something greater for us as humans. I think the Greeks, they played sports for that sort of religious element.
Sure.
There was that kind of spiritual, cathartic, and I think we still look for that, even in sort of modern business, American professional sports.
I'll say the one reason that really got me into sports, kind of couples that a little bit, was just the whole community. I'm sure Chad will speak and on his own here in a minute. I'll give it pass the mic. But just the fact that you see a community come together and not even from our spot here in North Richland Hills, but you'll have people traveling as far as North Dallas and Allen, and some guys way out and towards Abilene, way out west, and you kind of pull in different people. But for me, just kind of seeing not really the negativity of the world, but you kind of know what I'm going at with how much negative news and publicity that always goes out, and people watching Fox and NBC and ABC and this politic thing and this religious thing, and not that it gets old, but it gives you a break. And I've always feel when you're with sports, I want to give people a break from all that nonsense that they're going through and all the things they're chatting about on Facebook and Twitter and having the wars. So to a degree, I can kind of pull off that too. But
absolutely.
I know, Chad, you've been with the Brahmas obviously way longer than me. We've gone over this with the podcast, but in particular the sport, and especially with hockey and being an Ottawa Senators fan. So we'll pull back to Canada a little bit too. Sens Call will appreciate this. Anything, why enjoy the whole fun in the world of hockey for you?
Like, what made me fall in love with hockey? Oh, it's the beautiful violence. It's the most violent sport that also requires the
That's
most...
what I call Jean-Claude Van Damme movies.
Oh, nice. No, it's like it's a fast-paced game with very physical, very violent, but also very skilled. And when I grew up in Texas, and there was no hockey around. So because I'm an old man, and when I was growing up, there was no hockey anywhere around, and so you see it on ESPN.
Right.
Back when your TV had 13 channels, and you had to get up and I'm making a channel turning notion for those of you
man.
on the air. Yeah. So Channel 13 was ESPN where I grew up, and they would always play hockey.
The pioneer days.
Yeah, pioneer days, back when you had antennas on TVs. But I got into it then, and when I moved to Dallas in '98, I just was playing leagues and working in the golf industry first. Which love of the game. Good days, bad days.
The hockey of the grass.
The hockey of the grass. Sometimes the way I played the game, I was very violent about the golf game. But no, there's a very spiritual connection to hockey, kind of like you with baseball. It's a sport.
Absolutely.
General. And it's fascinating. I remember when the AirHogs first were announced. Do you know your AirHogs history?
Well, 2008 is the first season. I don't know when it was
2008
announced. I think 2008 was the first year.
Okay. Yeah. So it was probably like a year before. So I think Pete Incaviglia had something to do.
Pete
with
was the original manager of the AirHogs.
Okay.
He was our hitting coach actually for part of last season, but he had a lot of success with the AirHogs and. Legendary.
Sure.
Legendary home run hitter, legendary in many other regards as well.
Yes, for sure. Well, I think it was either around 2008, it was either him or another guy who you're familiar with, Rafael Palmeiro.
Rafael Palmeiro. Oh, hey, he's back, isn't he?
They looked at the room behind you to do baseball like pitching and
sure.
infield center or whatever. I mean, you can't see the lights are out, but
looks like those windows are partially tinted as well.
Yes.
I'll verify all this as soon as we're done.
Yes, true. But they had a very weak tie-in to the NYTEX Sports Center.
Okay, gotcha.
But Palmeiro.
Rafael is back. I actually we don't play Cleburne on our regular season schedule until July, which is interesting because
That's very interesting.
It feels like. Last year, there were 3 divisions in the American Association, so you played your own division, each team, like 20 times. So It was just like every time
we can relate to that.
Every time we turned around, it seemed like we were playing Cleburne. They reformed it into 2 divisions, so now I think we only play them 12 or 13 times this year, and not until July. So I kind of was like, I hope I get a chance to see Palmeiro, because I actually grew up for part of my childhood in Baltimore. And so it was Palmeiro and Brady Anderson and Cal Ripken and Mike Mussina. So he was like a big hero of mine growing up. And so they came to AirHogs Stadium on the 16th of May, just a few weeks ago for a preseason game. And a good friend of mine, Shelby Ford, who's the Railroaders manager, I texted him a couple hours before the game, which is, usually a little bit earlier than I get the lineup. And I was like, hey, why don't you send over that lineup card? Let me take a look at that. And, he sends it over, and Rafael Palmeiro's not on it, and I kind of was like, it's just a preseason game. It's all right. It was a late scratch, and he put Rafa on like a half hour before the game, so I get all excited. He struck out twice and rolled over on one to second base. He did not look like he had, didn't look like he was in midseason form quite yet. Now, you never know. It might be midseason form. Didn't look like midseason form there. And after the game, I kind of thought, I'll go down there and see if maybe I talk to some of the guys in the Cleburne locker room, and I didn't see him. And I walked and kind of circled around the locker room, and I grabbed something to eat and was walking actually out to my car, and all of a sudden he pops out of the locker room, and I was like, I've been waiting my entire life for this moment. Here he is, and we kind of make eye contact, and I think, well, I'm kind of famous for these clever sayings. I gotta come up with something here. Best I could muster was, "Sup?" And he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "All right." And I just kept walking to my car. I was like, I don't want to bother him, And I mean, he was a big hero of mine growing up, and it's an interesting experiment. It really is. I will say I don't know that it's possible to do what he's trying to do, which is get back to the big leagues at 53, but he's got my respect for trying. I admire if this is really what he wants to do, and he wants to try to take the long way back and start in independent baseball and find a way back to the major leagues. Then he's getting a chance to play with his son, Pat, who's there with the Railroaders. And, more power to him if he feels like he can do it. I know he's got a home run. He's hit one more home run in the American Association than I've ever hit. So, he's got my respect for that. And
is he playing every night?
No, he's not playing every night right now. I haven't looked at the latest stats, but I think that his plan is to try to kind of work his way a little bit at a time and get to a place where he feels like his body's right to play every night. But it is so gosh darn hard because it is already so hot out there. And Cleburne is turf. AirHogs Stadium is turf as well. And, I mean, when you're talking about 96 degrees, outside, you're talking about over 100, well over 100 on the turf. And it is tough, but you know what? Like I said, he's got my admiration, and I already know when we finally see them in July, right around the 4th of July, I am going to try to do a pregame interview with them. And I think my first question will be like, Rafa, we're on the road here, and it's just a radio broadcast, so you're going to have to go ahead and describe the current state of your facial hair for all of our fans out there. And he doesn't have the stash anymore. It looked like he had a little goatee, which is probably it's more stylish now. But back in the 90s, that's my Rafael Palmeiro, is the cookie duster Rafael Palmeiro with the thick mustache.
What do you think? Both of you guys should answer this one. Best baseball mustache of all time? Raleigh Fingers?
That's your classic. That's the classic. That's like the
Keith Hernandez.
The Keith Hernandez. I'm not going to say Keith Hernandez because Keith Hernandez was the curse of the Cardinals. After '82, we didn't win one for 24 years. That's the curse of Keith. But I got to go Palmeiro. He's in the association right now. If I say this right now, maybe he'll bring out. By the end of the season, he's got the hot mustache on top of the lip. So I got to go Palmeiro. Oh well, no. Let me give you one that's tied for first is Al Hrabowski, the old Cardinal reliever, the mad Hungarian. Al Hrabowski used to have
I'm looking this one up as we speak.
Used to have the handlebar stash. And when I was a kid, he actually came to my elementary school, and I was about in first grade, and he came and gave the old, here's why doing drugs isn't cool, kids speech to everybody. And that really stuck with me over the years. And there it is. Oh, my good Lord, look at that. And I said, my dad had said, go up to him and ask, how did you throw the hungo ball? That was like his signature pitch, I think. And he showed me. And he was a really nice guy. He's actually one of the announcers for the Cardinals for, pretty much my whole lifetime. So I got to give Al. I'll give Rafa and Al the two greatest mustaches ever.
Man, this is when it's hard. My baseball doesn't go back too far. I was sheltered.
Not many mustaches, unfortunately.
No, I know.
In this day and age.
I was sheltered in good old Durham, North Carolina. So I had the Durham Bulls.
Durham, North Carolina.
I was a big Bulls fan. In terms of baseball, though, it's tough because obviously not being around the major leagues, didn't really watch religiously on baseball. So I'm gonna have to go mine more current. But the one story that looked really good, the Danny Espinosa one.
Hey,
grew over the off season. That was a good old timer.
Sure, absolutely.
That was a good old timer one. They had the little handlebar kind of coming down.
Well, I've had every. Hey, there you go. That's an Al Hrabowski style. That's an Al Hrabowski style handlebar. I'm sporting the full beard here, and I've had every kind of facial hair you can imagine. I've had mustache, handlebar mustache, sideburns, mutton chops, full beard, goatee. Even at times, this has not been on purpose, but unibrow. I've pretty much gone The one thing I won't do, though, is shave all the hair off my face and just leave the hair on my neck. I believe the kids are calling
the neared?
The neared.
I was literally just going to say
the neared.
I could only rock a neared. It's bad. So
but
I
do like my ultimate goal, and I have a little space here toward the bottom of my neck. Maybe we could insert a picture here somewhere to the podcast, where I'd love to. I call this my bridge over troubled water in a Simon and Garfunkel little reference. I'd love to have a way to connect my chest hair to my neck hair and just have one highway that runs the whole country. I describe myself like this. I do describe myself like this because I am a hairy individual. I describe myself as being like a poorly run miniature golf course. The AstroTurf is the main attraction.
Jeez. Gotta love that. Oh, my gosh.
Man.
Well, to get us a little back on track, which we're never on track in this podcast,
Sure.
so it's fine.
Well, we've diverted into the neck hair discussion already. I was hoping to get to that.
You're waiting till
I was
the
hoping
second
to get
podcast.
to that on the second podcast.
Yeah. we came one early, but we were talking before we officially hit the start button on our podcast today with the AirHogs ties back to Amarillo for a season, and obviously then bringing back the AA team. We had a chance to check out some of the possible team names that have been floating around the internet, and we've heard everything from the Amarillo Jerky to the Amarillo Bronc Busters to the Amarillo Boot Scooters. To the Amarillo Sod Poodles.
Oh, man, the Sod Poodles.
If you could name a baseball team, you have a good name for Amarillo?
For Amarillo or just in general?
Even in general. It could be in general.
I'm big into like abstract concepts as names. That's one big thing for me. I would love to see a team called something like the Amarillo Fortitude or the Amarillo Meaningful Silence, something like that. I'd love something. I'd love to have.
Like, how do you depict that?
Sure. Exactly,
like, what's your mascot going to be?
Because then from there you can pretty much do anything.
That's true.
Or the Amarillo Optimism, or the wherever, something like that. I'm big into the abstract concept names. I was always terrible at rec league names. I would always be saddled with picking teams for rec league sports and intramural sports and such in college and high school. And I was, let's see, I think in high school our rec league basketball team name was the Rabid Chinchillas. That was a good one.
Wow.
That was a lot of fun.
I think we've heard that in a baseball call recently too.
I think I'm also into smaller animals. I don't like to have like a bears or a lions. I like to have like, you know what my nickname is?
I don't.
You've got to know this. You're close. You're close with. I just heard squirrel there from the first row. You're close. My nickname is actually Mongoose. Mongoose. It's an interesting story how I got it. I was in high school, and one day there was a snake that crawled into the bathroom. So I found a gardening tool and went in and killed it, and they called me Mongoose ever since.
That's going to stick.
Well, it's interesting because, obviously in El Paso, the MILB,
right,
they had the Chihuahuas, but before
the Chihuahuas,
which is a ridiculous mascot, but before they announced what the team name was, one of our staffers here was interviewing for a job in their box office, and they were just El Paso baseball,
right?
And so we were talking like, what do you think they're going to be? The El Paso Miners, the El Paso Sunset, the El Paso Breeze. So it's got to be something. And then when it was announced, or before it was announced, she goes, they're going to be the Chihuahuas.
Hey.
I'm like, huh? That's the most stupid and ridiculous baseball mascot.
Chihuahua baseball coming at you hard.
But yeah, but they're not bad.
I love the Chihuahua name. I like anything off the beaten path.
I support your off the beaten path.
I've had a lot of teams, I guess, that I've worked for, and I'm fortunate because I think AirHogs and then at West Florida were the Argonauts. Which goes back to ancient Greece. You don't hear either of those too much.
No.
So I think it helps the calls kind of stand out because it just gets people's attention, asks.
It's unique. It's not another Tigers or Bears.
Yeah.
Same with the Brahmas. I mean, tell me when you've seen another Brahmas team.
Well, I actually was telling Nick, I knew Brahmas, I think is maybe like a holy person in India. I actually thought even up to 45 minutes ago when I walked into this rink, I thought that was what you guys were named after.
We're named after like an Indian god.
Well, I think it's a holy man in
Ganesh.
India. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I kind of thought, that's a really interesting concept for. And then I found out on his shirt it's sort of like a bull or a cow, and I said, oh, that's what a Brahma is. And I thought, oh, okay, I was way off. But trust me, it's not the first time that I've been way off on a name.
It's it's a unique. It is a sacred cow in India, the Brahma.
Sure.
It's the gray one with the hump. There's no purple Brahmas as far as I know.
Okay, gotcha.
That is made up. But so going back, I think it was 97 when the team was founded. It was originally the Fort Worth Bulls.
Okay, gotcha.
And it was either the Birmingham Bulls or Chicago Bulls sued or like objected, which is ridiculous. Because
best thing you can do is just sue somebody. Just take them to litigation, baby.
That's the American way.
Straight to litigation.
Straight to litigation. So
you want your name changed? We'll take that.
They're fine. We'll change it. We're no longer the Bulls, and all around this area, you'll see farmers and ranchers raising Brahmas or Brahman or something. So it's like, okay, we'll be the Brahmas, which are the meanest of the bulls.
The meanest of all the bulls.
And there's nobody else.
What's the nicest of all the bulls?
Ferdinand?
What's that?
It was a movie. It came out December 15th of last year.
I'm way behind.
And yeah, you like to smell flowers instead of a fight. It's a classic children's story.
Oh, it's a children's story.
Classic children's story from 1930.
I'm behind. I do have to catch up.
That was a good answer, Chad. I really enjoyed it. I had to steal the mic back just to say that one.
That was awesome.
So good. All right, well, let's wrap this guy up. You got some baseball games to call. It's literally an off day, and we're stealing them for work. Go figure. But we want to have a little fun. If you're okay with it,
sure.
If you're okay with it.
Well, I guess usually I'm okay.
We're gonna go off of your lock it, cock it, rock it, restock it style, if you will.
Okay.
With the kind of keep it quick. Word it. We got 3 of us here. You're gonna help us have a summer lifestyle for our
summer lifestyle, huh?
For our podcast. Yeah, a little phrase.
So
we're all going to chime in on it. I'm going to have we'll have Chad start it. We'll each get a word. You'll be the wrap up one, so you'll be able to close it. Obviously, of course, you'll have to be okay with it. Worst case, we say it now and it sticks here and it's gone forever in the podcast. But we figure it might be kind of funny to keep a little Joey Zanaboni with us for the rest of the summer until we get ready for the next season.
Yeah, well, I know this will outlive me, is what you're saying. Even if I never make the podcast again, this will be
imitation is the best form of flattery, right?
You know what I like to say? I like to say paychecks are the best form of flattery.
Okay, true. All right, so a Joey Zanaboni, lock it, cock it, rock. Is that right? Lock it, cock it, rock it, restock it?
That's it. You got it, yeah.
Okay, I'll go smash it.
Ooh, smash it. Let's go thrash it. Smash it, thrash it.
Smash it, thrash it. Apply some cream if it's a rash. It.
Booyah, baby!
There you go.
There it is.
See, you're gonna have to whittle that one down. Like I said, it's a multiple step process. You know, smash it, thrash it.
Apply some cream if it's a rash.
It.
It'll make a debut sometime.
Well, keep on working with it. I mean, it's one of those deals where I think that, like I was saying to Nick, I think it's always a multiple step process. You have to come up with one phrase, and then you prepositional phrases are my best friend. You know,
sure.
Nibbling the outside corner like an unsalted cashew. That's not a prepositional phrase, but I don't know. It's just, there's always a second phrase. Second clauses are my best friend, I suppose. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, continuation.
There's my advice.
No, I hear you. No, it's all good. I'm still waiting to find. Chad always teases me about catchphrase. I'm like, I haven't really found one yet. Just got to kind of come.
Well,
to it,
and that's the thing.
You can't force it. That's like what you did. You didn't force it.
Well, hey, you haven't listened to every broadcast, I see. I mean, that's the thing. It's not about what you say. It's about the confidence with which you say it, as I think I've demonstrated through my brief career. So there you go, man. You got your catchphrase. You got your lifestyle.
Love it. There's the bullpen lifestyle. We'll end it on that. We'll give you a little call to say so long for Inside the Bullpen podcast. Thanks for joining us for another episode. Joey, thank you as always for coming back and checking out Brahmaland for once. Huh?
Well, thank you for having me. And
we'll see you at a baseball game or two.
Hopefully we can see everybody at the AirHogs Stadium, 1600 Lone Star Parkway. Sometime this season. We've got a few games here Tuesday to Thursday coming up, and then back to work at AirHogs Stadium on Monday. So visit airhogsbaseball.com for more details, and hope to see you out there.
And one more thing. We should do a broadcast switch at some point. You should come join a Brahmas broadcast.
I would, man.
You can do color.
Absolutely.
And vice versa.
Please do. I'd love to have you out. I would love to have you out.
There you go. You heard it first, fans. Maybe.